sneak peek and a teaser of what's coming at Google Cloud next. Why do you need to engineer a prompt when you can upload an entire movie or PDFs?
I don't think large context windows are removing the need for prompt engineering. I think they're making it more sophisticated. We're just going to go to the next level.
How does Gen AI change the life of a product manager?
Most likely every product manager on the planet are thinking right now, how can Gen AI improve, extend, augment my user journey?
You can very clearly see how customers can bring structured data, apply that to predictive AI, and then feed back to Gemini to get extraordinary LLM capabilities, that include reasoning.
That's a really good comment.
Welcome back to The Encounter, where we bring you face-to-face with the most inspiring leaders of our time. So today, we have a very special guest from Google Cloud, Erwan Menard, who is the Director of Product Management for Cloud AI, and he is primarily responsible for Vertex AI, one of my favorite Gen AI platforms. So Erwan, it's great to have you on my show.
Thank you. Thank you, Jenny. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I've been using Vertex AI since it was called Google Cloud ML Engine. So it's been a few years and it has come a long way.
Yeah, indeed. It's quite amazing to see how a platform which was born for predictive AI is now the place where you can do both predictive and generative AI. We feel quite lucky we have that experience in terms of understanding the user journey. Although I would say we have new kinds of users on the platform. We used to design for the data scientist. And clearly, app developers are now the number one persona in volume of people touching the platform. So we're working pretty hard at serving all our audiences now.
Absolutely. Love the experience of Model Garden, the studio, and the best thing is it generates code. You can actually copy and paste the Python SDK or JavaScript. So great job there.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So Erwan, I have a lot of questions related to Vertex AI and Google's LLM Ops and stuff. So before we get there, I want to ask something that is very specific to your role, your specific persona. So how does Gen AI change the life of a product manager?
Yeah, I guess I bet that most likely every product manager on the planet are thinking right now, how can Gen AI improve, extend, augment my user journey? We certainly see that ourselves inside Google. I mean, if you look at Google Cloud, there's now assisting capabilities, Gemini capabilities as we brand them inside each and every product. Personally, I use it a lot for information retrieval and research. We're in a fast evolving space. So you find yourself in situations where you access a large corpus of information and you need to digest it quickly. I think this is a very good use case for product managers. But your question makes me think about a panel I did with a gentleman from GE Appliances, the company who does washers, dryers, and so on. And he had a very good anecdote. They ran a complete hackathon to identify where Gen AI could bring most productivity gains along their whole life cycle. And of course, they talked about code completion and stuff like that. But you know what? One of the lowest hanging fruits was around requirement collection. So the dialogue between product manager and engineering, and they're able to converge significantly faster using Gen AI to collect the requirements, put them in a document, and then iterate to finalize and hopefully build a common view of what they want to accomplish. So I think that's actually most likely a low-hanging fruit for product managers to consider.
Absolutely. Accelerating the conversation and the dialogue between the development and the engineering team and the product management team. Perfect use case.
Yeah.
So Erwan, I'm actually pretty excited to talk to you because I'm a user of Vertex AI for a long time, and I'm using that currently to build some prototypes and proof of concepts. So now let me dive into the product and the platform that you're actually building. So, for Google Cloud developers or Google developers who are not just GCP, but even Android or Angular developers, there is Google AI Studio and then there is Vertex AI Studio. Both of them are very identical. They're almost like twins, and I can get exactly the same experience out of that. So why invest in two different products? And what do you have in mind? What are the personas targeted for these two products?
Yeah. So they have a lot of similarities, but they have important nuances. Let me walk you through that. I think that the headlines are Google AI Studio is for the hobbyist to prototype. So you can quickly build with Gemini. Vertex AI Studio is for developers who want to scale that experience, that application they're building, and take it to production. So let's double click on that. On Google AI Studio, you have free access, web-based. You just connect with your Gmail account. You don't need a Google Cloud account. You can prototype, launch application quickly. You get API keys and so on. Now let's remember that it's a free consumer grade product, meaning that you're sharing with your data with Google for model and service improvement. Okay. In contrast to that, Vertex AI Studio, which is within Google Cloud Platform, comes with everything you would expect from an enterprise platform, notably in terms of data privacy, indemnity protection, and then all the security compliance things like VPCs, CMEX, data residency, and so on. In addition to that, in terms of what you can effectively do, you can access to Gemini, but you can also access to open models from Google and others, and you can access to third-party models like Anthropic as an example. And you can not only play with the model and prototype, but you get tooling to augment the model, deploy the model, govern the life cycle of the model. So the capabilities allow you to go to production. Now, you may start your journey in Google AI Studio as a developer after work, and coming back to your company in the morning, you want to bring that work to your company Google Cloud environment. And we have an upgrade path because we have consistent APIs under the hood between the two. So if you start your journey as a hobbyist with your Gmail account on Google AI Studio, you can then bring it to Vertex AI Studio on GCP and pave your way to production.
Perfect. That makes sense. But one subtle nuance there. When I log into Google AI Studio using my Gmail credentials, to generate the API key, I still need to have an active GCP project, which brings me back to the Google Cloud realm. So why is that a prerequisite?
Well, so I think it's a matter of how far do you want to go? Obviously, our advice is that if you want to go to production, you want to do it on Google Cloud for the reasons I mentioned before, the scalable infrastructure, the privacy, the security, and so on. And again, this notion of sharing your data with Google to improve the model on the Google AI Studio side is something that matters to us, right? We need it, we want it to improve the service, but we don't want you to be confused at all, especially if you consider taking that service to production. So that's why we are steering you towards the platform. When you reach the stage where you want an API key, you want to launch a service, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does. So the next question that I have is, there is this new term that is becoming popular called LLM Ops, and that's fairly new, and it's almost opaque black box terminology that no one understands. So let me ask you, as someone who built a platform for LLM Ops, how do you see that different from traditional MLOps? Because we are familiar with traditional MLOps, but what is LLM Ops?
Yeah, I think a few years ago in a white paper as Google Cloud, we kind of threw out our definition of MLOps. So I think it reads like, it's a set of standardized processes and capabilities that allow you to build, deploy, and operationalize machine learning systems rapidly and reliably. Like, take that sentence, it applies to LLMs, right? You need standardized processing capabilities to build, deploy, and operationalize Gen AI or large language models rapidly and reliably. So in our mind, LLM Ops is a superset of MLOps. And the key differences are tied to the capabilities and tasks that are really specific to large language models. For example, you have a multitask model. So, and prompting is a big part of giving it context. How do you manage that? How do you manage your prompt gallery? How do you curate your prompts? We're going to be a critical asset when you consider taking into account a new foundation model that would be available all of a sudden. Then you're customizing your model, right? You're doing tuning. You could be doing human feedback loops. You could even distill. And along the way, you use your enterprise curated data to give that context to the model. Well, that's an operation that you need to govern. You need to have a good traceability of your data as you do that, and who does what along the steps of optimization. Then you got new artifacts like embeddings or adapter layer. If you go for supervised tuning, you know that technique where you build a thin adapter layer in your Google Cloud perimeter within your security perimeter that is on top of the frozen foundation model, and the combination of the two is tuned to your business. Well, that adapter layer is a new artifact that we need to manage, identify, being able to delete or restrict access to. And obviously, you have everything around evaluation, monitoring that is taking new dimensions, starting with the outputs, right? How do you monitor the outputs of these models? So overall, LLM Ops is a superset of MLOps. We need to add new capabilities. And frankly, as Google Cloud, we're very happy that we can build that on top of the existing MLOps framework that Vertex AI had already. You know, if I look at consumption of the platform, of course, in 2023, we had a lot of GenAI projects initiated by customers, but we also saw a renewed and growing interest for predictive AI workloads. It looks like when customers or companies evaluate the potential of GenAI, that's also a good reminder of what predictive AI can do for them in places like forecasting, as an example. And so what we're hearing from customers is that the fact that you have the predictive and generative capabilities available in the same Vertex AI platform is really handy in terms of accessing the data, governing the different steps, but also in terms of sharing the outcome, the AI models, whatever predictive or generative, across their company. So we've put everything on the same platform for those reasons, because one, LLM Ops is a superset of LLM Ops. Two, there is clearly a renewed and increasing interest for predictive AI as people also discover generative AI capabilities.
Perfect. Very well put. I really like the way you explain the key differences between MLOps and LLM Ops. I think the delta, which is very specific to LLM Ops, like fine-tuning and adapter management and prompt library, I think when you bring all of that to MLOps, it becomes LLM Ops. Mm-hmm. So it's a very interesting use case. You know, when you actually mention predictive AI and generative AI co-located in the same platform. So I'm a huge fan of AutoML, you know, offered by Vertex AI for vision and for tabular data and so on. And I can very clearly see how customers can bring structured data, apply that to predictive AI, and then feed that back to Gemini to get some extraordinary LLM capabilities, you know, that include reasoning. So I think that's a very unique way of looking at how predictive AI and Gen AI can work together.
That's a really good comment, and I think we're getting out as an industry. We're getting out of the shiny demo in the boardroom where everything looks like it's about one single model. I think everyone is starting to realize that we're going to involve multiple models and capabilities to create those amazing user experiences that are promised by Gen AI. And guess what? One of your tools in your bag is effectively your predictive AI capabilities. So AutoML being one of them. We definitely see that in actual service architectures customers are building.
Absolutely. And observability is very important for any operations, you know, whether it is DevOps or MLOps. For example, in MLOps, we have been monitoring model drift, one of the key metrics, and then the F1 score, the recall, AUC. All of those are the metrics that we have been traditionally monitoring when dealing with traditional ML. So what is the role of Google Cloud monitoring, specifically in the context of LLMs?
Yeah, I think in general, when it's about monitoring your LLM capabilities, we definitely have a change of paradigm because of because of what these models can do. So maybe a good framework to think about it is that you're going to have your service health monitoring, which is about uptime, latency, token or character per request, the associated cost. So basically a classic SRE thinking applied to a new type of service. And in that category, we're going to have agents to monitor, right? One of the things we've done recently is help people build agents and debug it and monitor it once it goes to production, which is so much more important than the initial demo. So you have your service health level. Then obviously the model health level is getting more sophisticated as well. First of all, because the definition of what is the quality of summarization, extraction, classification. I mean, that definition is still largely work in progress. We need to automate these things the best we can. But you also have things like RAG, right? And having, how do you compare the results of the model against what you would consider the source of truth? All this area of model health is very exciting and very important. I think we have a lot of opportunity to innovate there. And I think it's especially important because new models are coming about every week. And so the question of which model do I pick is essential at the beginning when you design the service or when you think about upgrading it. But then you need to validate that that promise you formed is effectively met. And to your point about model drifting, you're going to need to monitor that along the way. So model health, service health, model health. And then I think there is something around data health, because if you look at the data we use to fine tune these models or to give them, it's a smaller set of data typically, but it has to be very good quality data. So compared to predictive AI, where we were spending 80% of our time cleaning data sets to feed a model, train the model, hoping to get the outcome. Now we're starting from a multitask model that can do a good job at a number of things. We're giving it context with a much smaller set of data. However, that set has to be really good. And then we use a bigger set of data for RAG and grounding, and that could be a pretty lively corpus if you're trying to bring freshness and factuality to the model. So you're going to need to monitor that data drift as well. So service, model, data health, these are probably the three levels. And so we're augmenting the tooling across the platform, not only in cloud monitoring, but across the platform in the Vertex platform. And frankly, we're also innovating with partners on this because it's a space where a lot has to be defined. And if you think about, like, today we're in March, right? Just 3 weeks ago, we released Gemini 1.5 Pro, a million token context window. I can drop an hour of video or 500 pages of a document to it. I mean, that by itself has a lot of implications on monitoring, right? Like, how do I look at a system like this? Of course, I'm going to look at latency of the first request and then the multi-turn request. But beyond that, how do I monitor that the model is effectively grounding its answer in that corpus? So we have a lot. We need to be humble. There's a lot to be written, innovated, and defined in service, model, and data health.
Very well put. Very well put. I'm looking forward to more and more capabilities within Vertex AI. You mentioned something very interesting, agents. So how do customers build agents on top of Vertex AI? Is it through LangChain, or is it Vertex AI conversation and search capabilities, or what is the prescribed mechanism to build agents?
Yeah, you have basically two ways to do it. One is a DIY way. So you could use LangChain or Llama Index. Obviously, in Vertex, you use the models. We're going to have some exciting innovation about automating and simplifying that DIY path. So join us at Google Next in April. We have some interesting innovation coming in that category. The second category is to rely on our Google tooling that allows you to start in a low-code environment and go to full code if you need to. But the goal is to give you a quick path to results and simplifying the construction of the agent. So today, it's visible in the platform in the conversation category. We've actually released in December a product we've called Playbooks, and Playbooks means it's a condensed automated playbook to build an agent. And this is now coming out of private preview, so the whole world will be able to see it in the days to come. And that's a Google guided path in order to build your agent, but actually also to build your application. And so that gives you the two options: low code guided by Google, DIY using your favorite tool on the market, starting with LangChain or Llama Index.
Perfect. And what role does Dialogflow CX and Vertex AI search? What role do they play?
So the Dialogflow is helpful for people who want to program bots but don't want to get into the complexities of Dialogflow. So we can have a conversational exchange between you and the platform. We take care of programming the bot under the hood. And Dialogflow has a large install base. There's a lot of people who like that technology, that framework. So we just make their life easier. Search on its end It's very helpful in two flavors. One, just giving you a search applicative experience, so replacing a search bar on a website or inside an application, relying on a Google search stack that's enriched with LLM. So you have a conversational interaction in the search bar, you have a multi-turn chat, the search bar keeps context. So that's the first very visible end user facing experience. But search can also be used as a way to fast track your grounding work. So if you don't want to put your embeddings together, vector database, which you can do all on Vertex AI, of course, but you'd rather fast track grounding of your model answers using a Google search engine. We've packaged that, and today it's available with your private corpus of information. So you take all the manuals and PDFs about a given product, you throw that to the search engine in a low-code environment, and that becomes the grounding source for the large language model answers. And we're looking at expanding capabilities, giving you easier way to search certain corpuses, public, semi-public, private data. We'll come with more nuances of that at Google Next. So it's a somehow similar to your previous question, right? I can use search to ground my model. I can DIY on a vector database embeddings, whatever you use, the Google flavors of those or your favorite. And then I can also rely on a pre-integrated stack that gives me a faster time to result. And we have a number of customers comparing both methods, and the Google search method is actually very precise. So in order to get more accuracy with your own embeddings, you just need to invest time at having a very fine-tuned chain for embeddings creation and management.
So Erwan, I want to give you some feedback while we are talking about it. So I found two capabilities of Gemini extremely powerful. One is the ability to add grounding as a capability and pointing it to Vertex AI search. So it instantly picks up the data, stored in this corpus. The second one is the function calling ability. Yes. I think these two are so powerful, and I think the agents infrastructure is grounded or thoroughly built on top of it, because these two are unmatched features.
No, of course, yeah. Function calling is a critical part because you want the agent to take action. So that's where the Google way of doing it is going to be very, very powerful is already very powerful on the platform. I'm saying is going to, because we're really at the verge of going to public preview and having it available to all customers. So you want to go check on the platform over the next few days. It's really about to get out.
Perfect. Now shifting gears, you're also responsible for the foundation models and model garden on Vertex AI. So let me ask you this. Can I take Cody, the code-based foundation model, and fine-tune it based on my custom code and libraries sitting within Google Cloud repositories?
Yeah, so the short answer is yes. There's actually the public documentation is published, available. This is a completely generally available capability. We see customers using this in three flavors, give or take. Generating code for custom libraries. So you tune a model with labeled samples of your custom library, and then you can generate code or chat about code that is specific to that library. A second use case is to use your code base. There are a number of organizations who are good at knowing which pieces of code they consider being their best standards vis-a-vis their engineering standards, right? So you can tune a model with labeled samples of your code base and consequently generate code or chat about code, taking those unique capabilities into account. And the third is to generate code using variants of a programming language. So if you happen to like a certain variant, same story, you tune the code model, the frozen foundation code model, with labeled samples of a language variant. And the way you do that is supervised tuning. So that creates that adapter layer that we talked about earlier that resides in your Google Cloud perimeter. It's yours and yours only. Nobody else can have it. The day you want to delete it, you delete it. You can manage access to it and so on. And the frozen model, Cody, that you mentioned, does not get improved by your work. So you're really separating the customization, which is for you and you only in your GCP perimeter, from the frozen model in the backend.
Perfect. So let me take it one step further. So can I point Duet AI, that I'm using within Cloud Workstations or in VS Code as a plugin, point to the fine-tuned Cody model?
Yeah. So I want to be perfectly honest. I would need to check if we made this available to everybody yet. So I don't know the status of the feature in terms of being private preview, public preview, or generally available. But yes, absolutely. It's completely part of the Duet AI suite to allow you to customize that assistant to your code or your libraries.
Perfect, perfect. So we are almost at the end of this discussion, and the last question that I have for you is, how do you see multimodal AI evolving in the future, and what does it mean for prompt engineering specifically?
First of all, before the future, let's be in the present. We released Gemini in December, which was the first multimodal large model out there. 2 months later, we released the large context window with Gemini 1.5 Pro, 1 million tokens, meaning an hour of video, 500 pages of document. And your prompts look quite differently in February than they looked in December. And to be candid with you, we're very, very happy with the dialogue that our preview customers have with us in uncovering the capabilities of these large language windows, the trade-offs as well, because you have different latencies. And so trying to figure out how to apply that best is very much the here and now for us. But yeah, if you go forward, maybe that's, something like 10, 15 years ago when everybody everybody realized the opportunity of centralizing all your structured data in an enterprise data warehouse and uncovering hidden insights. And that way, I mean, we're definitely fully in the era of taking that sort of concept to any knowledge in your company. And we don't need to centralize them, right? We can now tap into meeting transcripts, PDF of your products, website pages, training videos, name it. And we can tap into that knowledge and start uncovering knowledge and insights. And that's very exciting. And prompt engineering will be right at the center of this, right? So I think prompt engineering is a field that has been very popular the last year, clearly starting to be identified as a skill set for engineers. I think it's just going to get more and more sophisticated because it remains today the best way to start giving context to a model and really improve its performance. And remember, we talked a few minutes ago about the challenge and importance of getting a good model evaluation framework. Prompt engineering will be at the center of this. Not to mention, as we all know, that if I develop prompt for a given model, they don't apply perfectly well to the next one. I need to make some adaptation to my prompting. So between the multimodality access and the profusion of models, which I think will continue for quite a while, there's certainly a lot of further development in prompt engineering. One of the product managers on our side has just launched a prompt Voyager initiative. So we're trying to understand the life cycle of a prompt. As model capabilities augment, as new models show up, how can I build on my prompt engineering efforts to not restart from scratch every time there is something disruptive going on, but really build over time and hopefully automate and bring to the platform capabilities to help your prompt engineering. So yeah, there are many dimensions where multimodal is going to continue impact and develop prompt engineering for sure.
Absolutely. The reason why I brought this up is with multimodal, when you can upload an image or probably a video, what is the need for crafting a very specific prompt? Why do you need to engineer a prompt when you can upload an entire movie or the entire documentation as PDF? So you don't really need to do prompt engineering because you have the whole context uploaded and you just ask what you want. So there is no handcrafting of a prompt that's required anymore.
Well, you still want a prompt in order to indicate to the model how you would like the answers to be typically formatted. And as the model gets a profusion of inputs of all different kinds, you may want the model to first index on a certain type of inputs and then augment its reasoning with another type. So no, I don't think large context windows are removing the need for prompt engineering. I think they're making it more sophisticated. We're just going to go to the next level. And that's because you and me are excited about the latest new big model, but there's a number of use cases which will not need the large context window model. we're seeing a lot of interest in our distillation capabilities. So I take a large language model, I specialize it on a task, I distill it down to a lighter, cheaper, faster model. Prompt engineering can do magic in that sort of workflow. So business problems are not all knaves needing a large context window hammer. So I don't think prompt engineering, as we've learned it together as an industry the last 18 months, is going to disappear. I think it's going to be augmented. You need to get more sophisticated at it. And I think we'll see all different kinds of models being used by business cases. It's not only about the last big one, although I've been very happy to mention 1.5 Pro many times on this interview.
Right. Well, I just got access to 1.5 after eagerly waiting for it. So I'm going to play with it.
Good for you.
And absolutely. So Erwan, thanks so much. It's been a very exciting conversation, and thanks for giving me a sneak peek and a teaser of what's coming at Google Cloud next. I'm in Vegas next month, and I can't wait to see the upcoming announcements and innovations around Gemini. So looking forward to it.
Thank you. We used to do it in August. This year it's in April, so it probably means we have a lot to show. We can't wait to welcome you there.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. So thanks again. And I'll come back to you when we maybe launch Gemini 2.0 soon.
Let's meet again in the future. I'm sure we'll have interesting stuff to talk about. Thank you again.
Absolutely. Thank you.